You've heard of counterfeit cash, right? Fake watches, fake bags. But what about fake casino chips? Today, we're diving into a scam so good, so perfect, it slipped right past the pros in Vegas and made its creators an absolute fortune. So here's the million-dollar question. Literally, how do you make a perfect counterfeit of something that's, well, designed to be uncounterfeitable? Think about it. A casino chip isn't just a plastic disc. It has a very specific weight, a certain feel, even a unique sound when it hits the table. All of that is security. So how on earth could you ever get it right?
All right, so let's meet our mastermind. We're in Las Vegas, it's around the year 2000s, and our guy is a man named Eric Morakawa. Now, you might be picturing some kind of hardened criminal, right? Nope, not even close. Eric was a construction contractor, running a small business, just trying to get by like anyone else.
And for a while, things were looking up. His business started to grow. He even landed some pretty sweet maintenance contracts with a few casinos. Yeah, the same ones he'd end up targeting later. He teamed up with a partner, Jeremy, and they were really successful. But then, after 2004, the economy took a nosedive. The casino contracts just vanished. The phone stopped ringing, and just like that, Eric was desperate, facing some serious financial trouble.
And this is where everything changes. Picture this. Eric's stuck in traffic one night, just staring blankly at one of those giant Vegas billboards. And on it, there's this huge, sparkling casino chip. And click. An idea sparks. It's a crazy idea, a totally audacious one. He turns to his partner Jeremy and asks the question that would set this whole insane story in motion. Do you think it's possible to make fake casino chips? So the idea is on the table. But an idea is one thing. Actually pulling it off, that's the real challenge. They had to figure out how to crack the chip's code. This wasn't just about making a little copy. It was like forging a key to a bank vault. It had to be absolutely flawless. Okay, so their first attempt, Plan A, was to make chips from scratch. They actually tried to replicate the whole process using clay and sand, just like the real manufacturers. And the result? A complete and total failure. Seriously, nothing worked. The weight was wrong, the sound was all off, the texture just felt cheap. It was a dead end. But then Eric has this genius breakthrough. It's like, why try to build an entire car from scratch when you can just change the license plate? So Plan B was born. Forget making new chips. Let's modify real ones. And this method was just brilliant. Here's the play-by-play. Step 1. They'd go into a casino and buy a bunch of real, legitimate $1 chips. Step 2, they'd take them back to the workshop and boil them, just enough to soften the adhesive so they could carefully peel off that center sticker. Then came Jeremy's part. He had some experience with forgery, and he spent weeks, we're talking over 150 different attempts, mixing dyes to perfectly match the color of the high-value chips. And he nailed it. They designed and printed new stickers for 100s, 500s, applied them. It was looking perfect. But then they hit a major snag. They were so close, but Eric had this gut feeling. There had to be something else, some hidden security feature they were missing. So he gets a black light, shines it on a real high-value chip, and there it is, a hidden mark totally invisible to the naked eye, glowing under the UV light. This was the casino's final line of defense, their trump card. For most people, that would be game over, but not these guys. They actually found a special pen that could replicate that invisible ink, and they painstakingly added that final detail. Now their counterfeit was perfect. Okay, so the chip is flawless. The million-dollar method is ready. Now comes the moment of truth, putting it all into practice. Was this all gonna work, or were they about to get caught? So that first test, you can just imagine how nerve-wracking it was. Jeremy heads into the Green Valley Ranch casino with just 3 of their doctored $100 chips. His heart must have been pounding out of his chest. He walks up to the cashier's cage, slides the chips across the counter, and just waits. The cashier gives them a quick glance, barely even looks really, and counts out $300 in cash. And that was it. It worked. It actually unbelievably worked. But they were smart. They knew that just walking in and cashing out chips without playing was a huge red flag. So they had to evolve their strategy. The new plan was way more sophisticated. They'd go to a table and buy in with real money, get some real chips, play for a little while to look like a normal gambler. Then, one of them would excuse themselves and head to the restroom, the one perfect blind spot in the casino's security cameras.
In the stall, they'd swap the real chips they bought for their perfect counterfeits. Then they'd go back to the table, play with the fakes, and cash out their winnings. It was genius. They were literally mixing their fakes right into the casino's legitimate supply.
And as you can imagine, with every successful cash out, their confidence just grew and grew. So they started to escalate the operation. First, it was the $100 chips. Easy. Then they leveled up to $1,000 chips. And before long, they were creating perfect fakes of those super high-value $25,000 chips. The risk was getting insane, but hey, so was the potential payout.
And the money that was rolling in, it was just staggering. We're talking an estimated $100,000 a month. They were living the high life for sure. To give you an idea, there's a story that Eric's wife went on a shopping spree and dropped $100,000 on designer handbags in one afternoon. That's the kind of money we're talking about.
But we all know how these stories go, right? The bigger you get, the more careless you become. And it only takes one fatal mistake to bring the whole thing crashing down. And ironically, after all that meticulous planning, after beating every high-tech security measure the casino had, it wasn't a black light or a suspicious cashier that brought them down. It was simple human error. One night, Jeremy, drunk and high and feeling on top of the world, decided to brag. He told a woman he was with everything, the whole scheme from start to finish. And that was it. The second the words left his mouth, the clock started ticking on their whole operation. The woman, of course, started blackmailing him. He paid her hush money for weeks, trying to keep a lid on it. But a secret that big, it's never going to stay quiet forever. Eventually, an anonymous tip made its way to law enforcement, and the unraveling began. So one morning, there's a knock on Eric's door. It's a guy who says he's a new neighbor. The second Eric turns away from the door, boom, the raid is on. Federal agents just swarm the place. They found the entire workshop, the printers, the dyes, all the custom equipment, and of course, piles and piles of the counterfeit chips. And right in the middle of all this, Jeremy pulls up to the house and walks right into his own arrest. So they're caught red-handed. The evidence seems totally overwhelming. It all moves to the courtroom for what seems like a slam-dunk case for the prosecution. But believe it or not, this story has one last wild twist. Eric gets himself a really sharp lawyer who comes up with this incredible defense. The argument was basically this. Okay, fine, you caught them making the chips, but can you prove that even one of these chips was ever actually used in a casino? And the crazy thing is, they couldn't. The counterfeits were so perfect, they had blended seamlessly into the casino's inventory. All the fakes they recovered were from the workshop, not the casino cage. So there was no hard evidence, no paper trail, just the word of the woman who was blackmailing them. So in the end, because of that no-proof defense, and the fact that he had a clean record, the mastermind of the whole thing, Eric Morcan, got sentenced to just 3 years. But Jeremy had a prior conviction for forgery, and that past crime came back to haunt him. The judge gave him a much, much tougher sentence, 10 years behind bars. And that's where the story ends. It really makes you think, doesn't it? They created a counterfeit so perfect, it was literally undetectable. They beat every piece of tech, every security protocol the casinos threw at them. So you have to ask yourself, was it the perfect crime? A flawless plan that was only undone by the one thing they couldn't control? Simple? Messy? Human error?